Hello and welcome to the Silver King's War. I'm Michael Sievers, the writer, producer, and creator of this podcast series about my father's Second World War as a B-26 bombardier. Today we continue with the Silver King's letters from bomber school in Carlsbad, New Mexico. It's November 1st, 1943, and the Silver King is about 6 weeks into his bomber school work, which takes him about a third of the way. And as an extra feature for today, I'm recording this on Memorial Day of 2021. Our hero, the Silver King, writes to his family on Monday, November 1st, 1943. Dearest Ones, received both of your letters, and as always, it was swell. I wish I could write you more often. As it is, though, even one letter a week is good. I must apologize again for not calling yesterday. It's the same old excuse. I didn't wake until 2 in the afternoon. You can very well see that I'm still able to sleep late, even after so long of getting up early. I don't believe I'll ever get used to getting up before breakfast. Anyhow, I would have called you then if I hadn't had a date to go to the tea dance. If there always wasn't a long delay at night, I'd call you during the week. I'll do my best to get up next Sunday. I had a really swell time over the weekend. Everyone was celebrating Halloween, and there were lots of parties. It's remarkable what a good time one can have, even in a town of this size. I suppose the company and the crowd has a great deal to do with that. This kid I've told you about is all I can say about her and more. Besides being sweet and cute, she has brains to go with it. Believe me, she isn't of the regular line of Gentile girls you come in contact with. Perhaps if she were Jewish, I would be considering a marriage. However, since she isn't, I know it's definitely out of the question. I know it would be against your wishes. Please remember that always. Things are going smoothly. No complaints. To date, I've dropped 15 record bombs. My CE is nothing to brag about. I'm under the wire, but not by too wide of a margin. 208 it is, with 25 more bombs to drop. I feel quite confident that it will improve with time. More than anything, although, it takes practice to perfect the operation of the bomb sight. It's a delicate instrument and must be handled as such. As far as my ground school work goes, there is nothing to worry about. I've an average of close to 85, which is very good. My navigation missions so far have been good. That leaves only bombing as my problem. The last bombing mission I flew was at 10,000 feet. At that altitude, oxygen must be used by all crew members. There is no danger at that altitude. The lack of it would only make you drunk after a few hours and very slow in actions. It was my first experience with it in the air, and I got quite a thrill from it. I also received a cold from it, which settled in my knees. It's completely gone now, but was pretty painful for a few days. The temperature registered 0, and sitting practically in the open made it very cold. You see, while one student is on the sight in the nose, the other is in the tail taking pictures of the bombs when they hit. Well, between the wind blowing in from the bomb bay doors and the wind from the camera hatch, it's quite windy and cold. It's funny how it can be so warm on the ground, yet so cold at high altitude. This week is all navigation. I've 2 missions to fly, one Wednesday and the other Friday. These will be different and a bit more difficult than the previous ones. Instead of a straight course to maintain, there will be a turning point in order to reach the destination. It will look like a crooked line instead of a straight one. This means in order to turn at the right spot, all my calculations and data must be exact. An error in any ground speed will throw off the ETA for the turning point, causing me to miss it, and it's very easy to make even a slight mistake. In other words, it will be easier to get lost this time. Received a very sweet letter from Leona. She's certainly anxious to move and get home, and I can't blame her, as it will be some job. She also wrote of the trouble that Bluma May had with her lawyer. That kid has had her share of misfortunes. I surely hope she manages to get everything settled this time. It's funny you never mentioned it in your letters. And I'm glad you're sending the cookies. Now that the weather is cooler, I have a hard time controlling my appetite and get hungry between meals. The socks will come in handy, too. As far as asking the laundry not to shrink them, well, this is the Army, Mrs. S. I get what I can, and just hope it's mine. It's swell about Jerome graduating soon. I know how happy he will be. However, I still don't envy him. It's my estimation that there is no comparison between ground and flying officers. I'll have bars, too, but I'll have a pair of silver wings to go with them. Around here, a ground officer is known as, quote, a ground gripper, end quote, and rates about as high as a sergeant. The flying officers have no use for them. It's the man in the air that will win this war. I can't promise you that I will get leave when I graduate. A lot depends on where and what I'll be assigned to. It might be I'll ship out to operational training on the day of graduation. And then it might turn out that I'll be an instructor. There is an acute shortage of instructors right now, and a large percentage of the class will be appointed. And I think perhaps if I were married, I'd have a better chance to be one. This is taken into consideration before a man is sent into combat. We shall see, though, and just hope for the best now. I hope you're well and taking care of yourselves. Just think, 10 more weeks and you'll be here. I'll be the happiest guy in the world that day when each of you pins the gold bar on my shoulder. Keep well and write soon, and love to Ida. I love you and miss you, Stan. The Silver King's writing reflects his growing confidence in the work he's doing and his anticipation about graduation, as he writes on Monday, November 8, 1943. Dearest Ones, as always, it was swell hearing from you and to know you're well. I guess the odds are about even with the letters. Believe me, it's a marvelous feeling when I find that familiar blue envelope in my box. If you're counting the days as I am, you'll know this is the beginning of the 9th week, just about at the halfway mark. If the next 9 weeks go as fast and as smooth as those have already, I'll be Lieutenant Silverfield before you know it. Sounds mighty good, doesn't it? You'd better have your fingernails well manicured when you get here, as the job of pinning those bars on me will be a ticklish one. You know, dears, all my life I've dreamed and prayed that someday I'd be a big success in your eyes, and now I have the feeling that that day is actually on its way. You might remember Leona's happiness on the many occasions she received high honors. Well, it won't be anything to compare with mine. It's difficult to explain just exactly how much it will mean to me. Perhaps I can best make you know by telling you this. The self-satisfaction of my knowing I've worked hard for something and will receive a reward for it will be overwhelming. And then, too, it's the idea of being independent at last. I'm so ashamed of myself for having had to turn to you for money. It will be different from now on, however. I'll be making $250 a month, and that isn't chicken feed. It'll be more money than I've ever had. Maybe now you know why I'll be so happy. My navigation missions last week weren't too bad. Wednesday, I missed the destination by 4 miles, and my ETA was off 2 minutes. On that, I received a grade of 78, which is fair. Remember, I can make only 85. Friday was a terribly rough day for flying. There was a terrific strong wind which could have easily blown me way off course. But I was lucky enough to correct for it. As it was, I missed destination only by 3 miles and 2 minutes late on my ETA. For a day like it was, I got a grade of 83, and that's almost perfect. A lot of fellows missed destination by as much as 80 miles. One fellow managed to get himself lost way down in Texas and didn't get back until almost 4 hours after I did. And even the buddy I fly with got lost. And if I hadn't been awake watching for landmarks, we might have ended up in Birmingham. I had to give the pilot a heading back here to the field. After that, I feel pretty confident in my navigation. You asked of the length of my missions. The navigation missions usually take about 4 hours, but the bombing missions are only 2 hours. I've got a lot of time in the air now. This week we go back to bombing. I have missions to fly tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. I suppose I'll drop 15 more record bombs, and keep your fingers crossed for me as I need to bring down my CE. It's been too close to the danger line. We'll probably start flying some night missions next week, and that will be another exciting experience as I've never been up at night before. Never a dull moment. I'm not going to promise to call you any more. Each weekend I say I am, but come Sunday I sleep late in the afternoon. When I get in that big soft bed, nothing can wake me up. I'm really having some swell times on the weekend. We have so much fun that I hardly drink at all. I'm a lucky guy to have found such a swell girl. Sunday afternoon, Sherry, his date, and Mary and I went down to the beach on the river here. We took some snapshots, which I will send you if they come out okay. The weather has turned terribly cool. This morning was the coldest we've been so far. It felt like the tail of a snowstorm not far from here. The afternoons are still warm, though, so it isn't so bad. From what I hear, it never gets real cold here. It isn't as easy to get leave as you seem to think. If it meant only asking for it, everybody would be going home. You don't do as you like, but as they tell you. It's a known fact we all want and desire a leave after this course, but that depends on how we are assigned. Don't count on it too much. Just keep hoping. And don't forget, there's a war to be won. Mother, if you have sent me a box, it hasn't come yet, so let me know whether to expect it. And that's it for now. Keep well, and don't be too lonesome. Love to Ida. I love you and miss you, Stan. Our hero, the Silver King, continues his weekly writing on Monday, November 15th, 1943. Dearest Ones, received all your letters and the 2 swell boxes. Thanks a million for the cookies. You were very sweet to send them. And you were right. The first box was a little stale. I had no idea it would take so long for it to get here. The second box was okay, though, and it tastes mighty good. Also, I want to thank you for the socks. They will feel plenty good on those cold mornings in the air. However, you shouldn't have paid so much for them. I'm afraid the laundry will ruin them like it did the others. Nonetheless, I appreciate your kindness from the bottom of my heart. You asked for my shirt size, which sounds like you want to do some shopping for me. I appreciate this, though, but I must ask you not to attempt to buy any part of my clothing. It may sound funny to you, but I have to have all my shirts made to measure. You see, the officers' wool shirts, which are parenthetically pink and green, are worn as an outer garment and must fit perfectly. It's different with the cotton shirts, as they are worn under a blouse. I've already ordered 2 shirts, one of each color, with pants to match. These will be tailor-made just right, and I figure can hold me until I have time to purchase more. I don't want to buy too much at the beginning, as the part of the country where I will be stationed will have a great deal to do in determining my necessities, and by all means, I wouldn't want you to buy anything without my seeing it first. If anyone else has the same idea as you, please let them know. I don't want to be up to my neck with a lot of things I don't need. Enclosed are a few snapshots which came out fairly good. You can't see much of me, that is, except I'm losing some hair. I hadn't realized how high my forehead was getting. And without a doubt, the best part of the picture is Mary. You can see for yourself why I've been raving so about her. She is pretty, isn't she? The other picture is of Sherry and his girl. It really doesn't do him justice. I don't know why, but we can't seem to take any really good pictures. Of course, you can see who has the prettiest girl. Things are going as well as ever. The weeks are getting a little stiff again. Last week I had 6 bombing missions, 2 a day, and this week I have 6 to fly again. This afternoon I was up at 10,000 dropping combat bombs. It's a little different procedure from the previous runs I've had. In dropping combat bombs, evasive action is used just as it's done in actual combat. The purpose of it is to dodge the anti-aircraft fire by preventing the guns from getting a bead on the plane. It certainly is practical, if nothing else. Tomorrow night I will fly 2 missions, the first and second at night for me. I probably won't get to bed before 1 a.m., but I won't have to get up until 8 a.m., which isn't too bad. Then I fly again Wednesday afternoon and Thursday night. Mother, I'm sorry you're having so much trouble with your teeth. However, it would be ridiculous to let the price stand in your way. It isn't worth it. Keep well and write soon. Love to Ida. I love you and miss you. Stan. We have reached the end of Carlsbad Letters Part 4 as our hero, the Silver King, continues his countdown to finish bomber school and get his gold bars. And you are listening to the Silver King's War.